Good evening. I've come back to Bastion on the Ret Paladin compared to last week when I was in Vampire Land, which I wasn't actually enjoying that much. And also, although I did sort of mention this when I was streaming some Elder Scrolls Online earlier this week, I have now solved the problem of what kept happening to make my screen go blank. So that won't be happening anymore. At least it better not. So what I'm going to do, what I'd sort of said before, is there's a lot of this zone still unexplored. I've not had any breadcrumb quests taking me there, but there was a broken quest there I'm going to have a look at. But the other thing I want to have a go at, I haven't been in a dungeon yet. So I'm just going to sign up for one for which I have a quest. And we'll just see if I can get into that. And I'm just going to have basically an explore around this particular zone. The fluffy zone, with the quest that I've actually, as I say, oh hello, an event, some event. The minimap flashed and there was a thing up there. Actually, I didn't really pay attention to what talents I'd given myself either when I was in the rest area. Oh, is this something you need multiple people for? Never mind that then. Right, what had I given myself? I can live with that. Although, I think when I get into the dungeon, I'd probably prefer just to have slightly different talents, but never mind for now. Because if I go with Seraphim, I'm going to keep forgetting to use it, I think. Now the problem with this broken quest here is where it's no point in me just going to where it points to it on the mini-map, because that's, although where it may be, it's underground and I have to get to it. And I can't remember whereabouts I get to it from. Other than that it would be this way somewhere, to the west of it. Has there only been any story reason ever given for why you will only be able to offer assistance and gain reputation with one covenant and not help any other? Not that I'm aware of, but then there could conceivably be a perfectly good reason and I wouldn't necessarily be aware of it. Excuse me. But I've not seen anything like an Aldor Scryer situation where you could sort of go along with it because they were not really best mates. I strongly suspect this is not the place. I'm quite sure this is not the place. But it might well be that there is a story reason for it. I just don't know. I mean, at the moment, there's only limited things up on the alpha anyway for testing. Oh, bugger. I say. Bugger. This is a problem with a quest like this. Like, things on the minimap are really useful in theory, but unfortunately it's not where the thing is or where I access it. I might have to go right back over here just to try and find it. Apparently Uther was forced to be turned into a Smurf angel in my zone and he's not happy about it. Well, no, well, because the only time I've seen Uther while I've been playing it is he was not a Smurf angel at all. He was a Dark Angel, which is not a 40k reference. Or whatever they're called. I haven't really been paying attention to a lot of the names. I don't even know what the owl people are called. I'll worry about names later on. Right. New zones look small compared to previous ones. I don't know. I mean, if you're comparing them potentially, I mean, there's, what have we got? 5 major ones, and then you got that thing there, which I can't get to. I mean, I haven't directly compared them or anything. How am I going to find it again? I'm just going to keep wandering. I might actually just give it up as a bad job in a minute. Because I do want to go exploring bits of the zone that I haven't done already. It wasn't here, I don't think. Oh, hello. I've got to go all the way over there as well. At some point. Right, I'll just go back to the inn. I'll change these. I'm just going to change to more passive talent so I don't have to focus on too much when I'm in a dungeon trying to focus on other things as well. So let us get... So what we righteous verdict, probably not righteous verdict if we're honest. So I might go for zeal. I don't mind that. I don't mind Empyrean Power actually. That's fine. Breakable Spirit. Or eye for an eye. No, we'll keep that. We'll go for that though. Shall I keep Crusade? I quite like Inquisition, but I don't want anything that's going to take maintenance. Or when I'm just doing a dungeon run and I haven't got a UI set up. I'll keep Crusade. And go with it. So, I will have one more attempt at trying to find that quest again. And then I'm off somewhere else. But what I would say in terms of, I don't know about zone size, I could compare them at some point, is, I mean, look at how much of this zone I've done. And I know someone was saying there was an expanded, possibly accidentally expanded XP gain, but I got 3 levels from this. Now, even if it was significantly expanded, like by even potentially double, for some reason, you know, that's still... what, 2/3 maybe of a zone, maybe less than that, 60% of a zone, when you've got quite a lot of zones still to go. Did Ether end up in Shadowlands after Tyrion broke the Frostmourne? I suppose so, because he was bound in the blade before then, wasn't he? So I guess so. Ah, this looks a little bit more hopeful, does it? Oh, maybe it doesn't. Or does it? Hold on. No, maybe. No, there were some flappy things. I think I'm in the right place. I think this is right. Maybe. Yes, this is roughly the right place. And I think it's that cave over on the far left that I want. Assuming that the quest is working this time. Now, is it this one though? No, it's not that one. Oh, God. Alright, fine. No one else in this here queue. People are not interested in dungeons this evening by the look of it. I'll just hope if I just keep it on that it comes up at some point, and hopefully not just before I need to finish off. Right, here it is. So in here should be a quest mob, and I throw a ball at it to stun it. Like a flappy thing that's stolen a staff. Oops. Ah, there it is. Cracking. Now I'm supposed to have a ball. Oh, it's evading though. And I've just popped wings. I do hate that. Okay, so what happened last time I tried to come here for this quest is the mob was not there, which wasn't very helpful. Now the mob is here, but is evading. So we'd better fill in a bug report about this. But evading. He was lucky he was sent there before Sylvanas started bullshit with the jailer. I suppose so. I'm not really sure what Uther thinks of himself as being particularly lucky though, but yeah. Yeah, at least it wasn't sent to them all, yeah. Although that is a little sometimes like someone saying when they've just broken your leg, well, it could be worse. I could have broken both of your legs. Right, we're just going to go into exploring mode then. I'm going to go over there. I imagine there's quests I can pick up there. And then possibly next week, if paladins aren't going to be in Torghast, I might just make a demon hunter or something and go in. Or just have a look at what the choices are. Right. I don't know which way to go. Let's try going this way and east. Or can I get over this way? In the official images, the Jailer and Arbiter and Hakar all have a hole in their chest with something there instead. Alright. Oh. I haven't paid that much attention to things like that, I have to say. I'll tell you another thing I need to do actually at some point. I need to note down all the values of these abilities as well, so that I can be on the lookout for changes. I usually do that at the start of these processes, and I haven't actually done that yet. Just keep an eye on how they're shifting the balance of certain things. I think I've seen some changes to, for example, consecration. Right, let's have a look here. Any quests here? I wonder if it's because I haven't had any breadcrumb quest taking me anywhere else. Because part of it, I don't know whether it's because that quest isn't complete, or whether it's just because some quests are not actually in. Because I'd have thought just randomly wandering over here, I've opened up a new area, there'd be a quest somewhere, I would have thought. But it's not even populated with many NPCs, is it? So maybe not. Any idea if consecration will be used on single target? I can only imagine during downtime. It would be a spectacular mistake, I think, if it ended up being something you would prioritise over anything else. I mean, if we look at it at the moment, over its 12 seconds does 252 damage, sorry. I mean, it's over 12 seconds, of course, you can fire and forget, but, you know, it does. It's always a bit tricky. I'm going to have to find out the factor again with physical damage. I always forget what factor to put in to convert physical damage to holy damage effectively. But it could well be that even a Crusader strike is worth more than that. Although obviously if you've judged it, then I'll tell you, I need to keep remembering to use Divine Toll as well. I often forget to do that. Does any form of recount work in alpha? Not give final values, but to compare yourself to others in dungeons. I don't know about add-ons. What I was thinking, I haven't actually. I'm not. If I get into a dungeon tonight, I will not be able to try this out. But combat logging will work, of course. So what I'll need to do is get myself set up for that again. I mean, I suppose I could just create a combat log if I did get in, but I haven't used logs for years now, so I'd have to remind myself exactly how I'd be doing that, uploading it and everything. But yeah, taking logs would work. In terms of live reporting, I don't know that any add-ons are enabled at the moment. Right, I'm going to be deeply disappointed if I can't find any quests, because I really do want to have a wander around and wait to see if I can get into this dungeon. And I specifically want to do this dungeon because I have a quest for it, and I'm interested to see what happens when you complete the quest for it, if it gives you anything else. I mean, obviously I can see a reward I get, but for a dungeon quest it's not really much of a reward. So I'm curious, is that just because it's effectively placeholder, or is there some other reason? Oh, no quests popping up. What the hell is this over here? Why are the trees floating in the sky? I wonder if that... See, you don't actually know in this zone if that's supposed to be like that or if it's just something that's unfinished, because there are floating cities and stuff. I'm not quite sure the tree... Are they? Or are they in like plant pots? They're in maybe flying plant pots perhaps. I suspect that is supposed to look like that. There are some parts of this zone that do look very nice. I'm thinking more about over there than over there. And the quests that I've done so far I've quite liked in this zone. So I'm not at all opposed to doing more of it. If only I could find some more. I wonder when they're going to start adding much more. Oh God, there's a statue to one of those useless owl people here. Dear God. I may have to end up going across to that vampire zone if there's really nothing here. But we'll give it a good old look round. Didn't like the quests in that vampire zone. I like the look of the vampire zone, did not like the quests. Didn't find them that engaging. I don't think anything else has really changed though. Right, there unlikely to be a quest in there. It'd have flashed up, I think. Ooh. Well, there's some NPCs there, at least. But... oh. Placeholder? What's that about? Well, that's for a quest. Oh, 60, Jesus. Alright, let's not mess about. Are those all 60 as well? There have been, and again, I suppose it is, jeez, I don't want to mess about with anything round here, do I? There have been some issues. I guess it's just alpha that some things are not scaled as they should be. I'd better bear that in mind. Am I the only one who sees some inspiration from Eastern MMOs in the zone's art style? Well, the fluffiness, you mean? It is very fluffy. That's 60 as well, right, okay. So we're not messing about with anything around here. Stay away from bad things. Oops. Flight point over there apparently. I mean, coming back to the consecration thing, if you judged a target, I mean, consecration then would do significantly more, but you'd still rather use it on a Templar's Verdict or something. Right. Alright, there's a flight point here. Yeah, I mean, where there's a flight master, there should be a load of other NPCs. The fact that there's not means there's no quests here either. Let's just get it explored, and then I'm afraid, as this doesn't look like it's going anywhere, it looks like I'm going to have to go on to the vampire one again. Ah. Right. Alright then. What am I doing? Let's Hearthstone back somewhere useful. And then we'll go on the other character. See if I can avoid getting my arse kicked quite so much this time. Although, as I say, it was tricky because my item level seemed a lot lower proportionally than it is here. Oh, what's going on? Okay, it's gone black there not because I've done a bad thing, but because it doesn't seem to like the idea of logging out. It just exited the game, so I'll go back in and get through the character that way. Right. Now, where was I here? Oh, doing lots of potentially interesting things. You want to see Maldraxxus and what possible reason there could be for us to help lichers and patchworks. Same reason we help anyone, for power. You know, throughout this game, let us be honest, throughout this entire game, there have been times when we have quite happily gone and murdered someone purely on the say-so of a quest giver. You know, we're told that they're a bandit or just otherwise bad person. We don't know. A quest giver promised to give us an apple if we'll chop the head off, so off we go and we chop the head off. Oh, I'll try to interrupt that for. Excuse me, might go sneeze. Oh dear. Oh, Probably need to be a bit more consistent with how I bind these things. I've got consecration on shift and S2 on the other one, so perhaps I should shift that there. Right. Oh, it's up. What the hell? I seem to be stuck in the ground. And not a midget. Oh. Up here, more walker. I've found. Okay. Up where though? Oh no, don't go. Oh, okay. How am I supposed to get? Oh, more stairs there. There we are. Oh, 3 compelled Venthyr freed. Right. I've obviously failed to do one that... Did I see anything else? I don't remember seeing anything else. Let's go back down and have a proper look. Oh. Oh, okay. Oh, I'm supposed to use a... oh. Right. Right. So on some of the things I killed, I was supposed to use a thing. Right. What do you mean I can't do that just yet? Were they supposed to be alive? Am I not supposed to kill them, maybe? It keeps... Offer a sin stone to a wound... Oh, you've got a wound... Jesus. Right, well that's just a group of 4 of them. That's asking for trouble. This is what happens when you don't read instructions, isn't it? Right, okay. There's one on the road. Right. This is one of these where you've got to injure them just enough, but not too much. But it doesn't tell you at what point. Oh. Oh my god. So I've got to do it with quite a lot of them. So it worked with that, but it wasn't their sin stone, so they weren't interested, is how it worked. Crap. Oh, that one worked. Good. Oh, that one worked too. Okay, excellent. And that didn't. What just happened? Oh, achievement. that's awkward. Won't work on them, will it? No. Oh, crap, I nearly killed him. Oh, never mind. Hey, right, go back now. If I can remember the way. Right, what have we got there? What am I supposed to do? Does this one wake up? No. Should I actually read this? Is there something here? As it's an elite. Attack to start the duel. Assist an adjuvant. Alright, okay. Alright then. Unfortunately, these speech bubbles are making it very difficult to really see what's supposed to be going on. Does that mean I just attack him? Should I just randomly attack him? Or do I just attack his minions? Because if I'm supposed to be acting to stop him cheating, all I see at the moment is that I am pretty much the one cheating here. Because it's not supposed to be my duel. Do you mean Balula as I pronounce? That's how it's spelled. Anyway. I mean, obviously Balula is a useful commentator from a technical point of view. And obviously, as a player, you know, might have any number of points of view from a subjective point of view. But he's not, and never has been, anyone who would be an expert in the mechanics of classes as such. He's always been a casual player, really. But like I said, I used to quite like watching his content. In fact, I used to very much like watching his content until he, you know, ripped off at least one person's class guide. I mean, I would have thought it odd for him to do class guides anyway, because he doesn't, you know, he's never been involved in that side of things. Oh, I mean, look at this. No, I mean, there's something badly wrong here. That's the weapon I've been using, pissing hell's sake. That's something they've done, actually. Right, because that wasn't like that last week, otherwise I wouldn't have bloody equipped it, would I? They've been buggering about with the item levels of things. Jesus. Right, well, at least I've got a decent weapon now. Which needs... Hold on, where's she going? It needs transmogging. I'm not continuing like this. But I haven't watched anyone's deliberations on alphas yet. I mean, at the moment, I just it's time. Don't really get too much time. I'm not even keeping on top of what I'm supposed to be doing. I haven't even painted any more of my bloody Warhammer models for ages, and I need to be. Now that Games Workshop have opened up again, I need to be assembling and painting. Of course, Balula is a hunter player, isn't he? So I guess he would. And I think probably. Should I be going back there? Why did he drop me here? What a useless place to drop me. I've got all the quests there. Oh yeah, that wasn't working last time, was it? I wonder if it is this time. Right, I'm just going to go and complete that quest and see what happens. Someone has made a hunter since BC. I can tell you from my experience the BFA hunter is not as OP as everyone's going on about. Well, the other problem is, though, I mean, I don't know what he's necessarily calling for, but just in general, you don't call for buffs anyway of any particular class. What you'd need to do is to explain exactly what the problem is. You can't just look at damage numbers and go, ugh, buff. Because, you know, sometimes you might... Let's say there were an issue and you just increased a particular ability by a particular amount, or you just increased as a flat amount, you can end up sending it too far the other way. You have to understand what the nature of the problem is. You know, because it may not be, for example, that there's any issue with the damage as such. It might just be that the way that they can carry out that damage in a raid or dungeon environment. For which you need a deeper understanding of the game than someone who doesn't do very competitive forms of World of Warcraft would understand. I mean, a casual player, like I wouldn't really get on top of that now. Anything that I might report in terms of what issues there might be with the Ret Paladin will not be based on just my observations. They'll be based on what the Ret theory crafters would be saying. Because I'm not raiding anymore. And I'm certainly not doing high mythic plus keys. Huh. Okay. Why would that last for 10 minutes? Also add that when they gave back Touch of Death to all monk specs, now Mistweavers are instantly killing mobs from 95% to dead. Are they? I haven't had a go on the monk yet. Maybe I need to do that next. Since I want to speed it up, when I levelled allied races for Nightborn Dark and I did hunters for both, and in Pitiful Gear was doing too much DPS. Well, you can't always judge levelling though, can you? I mean, there are some classes that are always going to be particularly useful for that. Hunters are a very good solo class. But either way, it makes no difference. You don't call for buffs as such. What you do is you identify an issue with a class or spec that's preventing you accessing certain types of content, and you issue that. That's the issue. I mean, for Rets, traditionally, I don't know about specifically at the moment, traditionally the issue is mobility usually, when you have to move out for mechanics, not really having much to be able to do or to get back in quickly. Which is why Long Arm of the Law would be, or just a movement row of talents would be quite nice. I mean, there's talents here I would quite happily, I'm going to have a think about it actually. There are talents in there that I would quite happily get rid of to create room for a full talent row, which we used to have, of movement options. You know, Cavalier could be one, Long Arm of the Law another. Oh shit. I did not realise that I was... Right. Right, sorry, just do that. I just randomly clicked that pillar there, not actually thinking what I was doing. I've summoned a thing, and then I went off to go and attack other stuff. Right, while we're at it, let's sort that out. I'm pretty sure I need more bat skill, so let's get another bat. Where's she gone? She seemed to bugger off up there. Oh, she is over there. I think the specs that need more attention first were Subtlety, Balance, Elemental Affliction, Shadow Priest and Feral. I mean, Shadow Priest certainly. Feral probably. Not sure about, you know. Well, Shaman, I mean, both Enhancement and Elemental Shaman, arguably. I mean, you sort of, I sort of tend to think of it more in terms of class role combinations. You know, Druids and Shamans didn't really have super effective options. So they ought to have, you know, got some treatment first. And obviously Shadow is the priest's only DPS spec. And because that was not completed for BFA, then obviously that needed some immediate sorting out as well, didn't it? Whereas if you say Affliction, I mean, I don't really know enough about Warlocks, but you know, they have got other, you know, they have got 3 specs for their, and it's the same class role combination. It's ranged DPS. Oh, little flight point. Where's he going? Come here. Alright, let's just get this quest and then go back, I guess. Another quest underneath. What am I supposed to do here? There's still, let's have a look. There's still a quest somewhere here. Let's just try and grab that first. I'm assuming it's in here somewhere. There we go. For Affliction, they took away drain space, but there was no reliable soul shard generation. And their AoE took too much setup. Broken functioning. I mean, it may well have been, but my issue would still be that in terms of priorities, I'm not saying you should ever leave a spec just because there are other options for that class, but if you're going to prioritize, it ought to be for the classes that have no spec at all for that particular role, you know, combination. Right, I don't even know where to start here. Let's just jump into the blue areas and kill things until it tells me the quest is complete. Right, there's a spider there. Oh, there's spiders. Alright, kill spiders first of all. Come on before that wears off. Enhancement elements have been rough placed in squad. I mean, they do sometimes bounce around. They're one of those. It's just a class that just seems to keep getting messed about. That being said, I always have a little bit less sympathy as a rep player because you can at least swap between the two at times, and of course they have a range spec. I mean, I wouldn't mind something like Elemental for Paladins, you know, as in a range spec. Alright, what's this thing? It's like... Like a shocker didn't. It wouldn't even have to be that. Like I've said before, and I was to begin with, I was only saying it tongue in cheek, but I'm potentially not at all, you know, not unserious. It could be anything, but it would need to be another spec. I don't think what they should do is like the gladiator experiment with warriors that they did in WoD. Was WoD, wasn't it? Yeah. You know, where they just have a talent that sort of says, right, now you're ranged. I'm not sure that would work. Oh, bugger that then. But an actual separate spec. Now, I'm not suggesting they develop a spec from scratch for it. I would base it on something else. I wouldn't, and I said at the time, I wouldn't really be opposed, although I know, well, I mean, I know Shadow Priest would not like this particular idea, but just as an example, if you were to create something very similar to, say, Shadow Priest, but obviously you just replaced all the stuff with, you know, instead of it being purple, it was gold, and instead of it being called Shadow this, it'd be like Holy this or whatever. So you could basically nick someone else's spec. And you could do that wholesale just to allow all classes. I mean, I don't think they would, but I mean, if you started the game again from scratch, there'd be no reason why you couldn't have every class being able to play any role if you just wanted to redesign it from scratch. And then people could just be attracted to the class they would like to play. But I'm given the way that Blizzard insist on designing encounters, I am 100% opposed to the idea of a class not having a ranged DPS spec. It seems to me, you know, self-defeating when most classes, I would mind less if the situation was reversed, because at the moment you've got 3 classes that have to be ranged if they're going to be DPS at all. They have to be ranged. But you have 6 melee, 6 classes that have to be melee if they're going to be. If it was the other way around, it wouldn't be as big a problem, because then the fact that you want more ranged heavy comps would work. But they have it arse about face. But anyway, like ESO, I mean, they wouldn't do what ESO. I mean, ESO is a completely different thing. It is true that any class can play any role. That's in a slightly different way. Because, of course, all classes only have all those skill lines, but only 3 of them are common to that class. All the other skill lines that they'd be using are, you know, all classes share them, so there isn't as much difference between the classes as you might otherwise imagine. Whereas WoW, of course, want to make sure that there's big differences between each one, which is fine. How do I think a Warlock having a healing spec would work? Just curious. I mean, we've seen it in the Warcraft movie. Gul'dan kills a deer and then heals Thrall. You know, it can be based on the same thing, can't it? They could have a mechanic where they drain life from enemy and turn it into healing for their friends. That, you know, that can be how they gain their soul shards. For it. You could have like a soul shard type mechanic. What, a bow using warrior for its range spec? No, actually, what did I say? Because I was actually you know, when I was still sort of playing the game properly, we were discussing this, and I thought for a warrior, what you'd have is like a Viking type with throwing axes. A warrior with throwing axes was what I was thinking. So basically, I'll tell you what it was. So ranged paladin just be, you know, you could call it a shockadin if you want. It would be a hand weapon and shield job, you know, and mostly in the terms of casting spells. So it wouldn't have to be a carbon copy of Shadow Priest, but I would envisage it working in a similar way. Warrior, I thought throwing axes. Rogue, I thought, you know, a bit like in Diablo 3 with the demon hunt. Is it a demon hunt or something? Can't remember which hunter maybe. But dual hand crossbows for a rogue. In fact, if anything was going to use a bow, because I feel sorry for hunters being the only class with a bow, particularly when they removed master loot. It's like, well, Jesus Christ, they're shafted if they're the only hunter in the raid. You could maybe just have a rogue working along a dark ranger type archetype. Simply, you know, basically what Sylvanas is in her dark rangers. But so let's go through them. So warrior, it was going to be axes. Paladins, it was going to be, you know, hand weapon and shield. You know, very much like just exactly the same weapons you'd use for holy, but this is for spell damage. What did I think for Death Knights? What were Death Knights going to have? I think Death Knights were also going to be very spell based, very similar to a paladin. I don't remember, but I don't think they were going to have any different weapons as such. You just have to have like intellect on their thing. But I think it was going to be a spellcaster based one. Which, if I'm honest, when Death Knights were first going to be brought in, Paladins could use Libra, yeah. I thought would be sorry, I'm just trying to get someone safe so I can turn in this quest. I actually thought Death Knights were getting a range spec before I played it in the beta, in Wrath beta, because you looked at all the like footage that before the beta came out, and it looked like they had some range stuff, and I thought one of them specs will be a range spec, a bit like a warlock, because they seem to have so many warlock type abilities anyway. I just thought, oh, it's going to be like a warlock. It was not. So yeah, Paladins and Death Knights basically ranged casters. Warriors throwing axes, rogues, crossbows or dual. I was thinking the dual crossbows, but it could be a bow or crossbow, just to allow a bit of loot sharing with hunters. Monks, I did have a bit of a mad idea. If I'm honest, I hadn't really thought about it too much, but I was thinking of like, you know, doing a mixture of spell casting, but also chucking its stick that would fly back and all the rest of it. But you could equally, I suppose, have Shuriken, couldn't you, for a ranged monk? And then what am I forgetting? What else is there? Yeah, well, I was thinking a mixture of spell casting for monks and something physical to chuck. What am I missing? I'm missing something, aren't I? Rogue, monk, warrior, paladin, death knight. What the bloody hell am I missing? Oh, demon hunter. Ah, demon hunters. No, maybe demon hunters should be like the dark rangers with the bows, and the rogues would go back to the dual. I knew I had a reason for my dual crossbows for rogues. That's it, because demon hunters were going to be my dark rangers with the bows. I remember now. Right, hold on. Let's go this way first. Actually, let's repair and sell a few things. No, wrong side. Let's tidy this crap up. Right. Yeah, monk indeed, that's what I mean about shuriken. They could indeed be... am I going the right way here? Hopefully. They could indeed have throwing stars. I thought it would look cooler to have a stick that they just throw out. Oops. Blizzard could take a page from 5th edition D&D Monk and go the way of the 4 elements. I mean, I'm not really familiar with that. I do have the 5th edition D&D books, although unfortunately at the moment they're at home. Maybe I'll have to assume it's in the core books, that is. Maybe next time when I go home I'll have to bring my D&D books back. What do we want? Definitely in it. Right, something's happened since last week, you know, because you'd think I've got these, this is item level 54, and yet my starting stuff was 120. What am I playing at? These item levels were higher than 120 last week. There was obviously a mistake. Maybe that explains why I was doing such shit damage last week. Have I got any other items on me that are really low item level? God, the chest as well. Let's see if I've still got... Have I still got... Yeah, I have. Okay, let's put these on. Because something weird has happened. Right, everything else is sorted, I think. Oh no, wrong one. What the hell? I didn't mean that. That seems to be okay as well. Right then. What is this? Oh. Have we been trapped? We've been trapped. Do I have to use this ability? Is that what we have to do? Apparently. That's nice. Oh, are we about to change sides? How interesting. Have I been tricked? But this is what I mean. If this is the case that I've been tricked up to this point, it just highlights the point I was making earlier. We will do anything for a quest giver. If someone has an exclamation mark above their head, we do whatever they say without question. All right. What's going on here? I can't use my zone ability. Am I classed to be in a different zone or something? Mana regen is not what it might be here. Huh. Oh, have I got to use my thing again? Dwarf, basically there's different classifications of stars. That would be quite like a cool star. You've got your O types, which are like your hottest at the surface, O, B, A, F, G, K, and then M types, which are at the cooler end of it. And as you say, dwarf there, because it's very likely it would be a dwarf to have, well, it would be a dwarf to have such a low surface temperature. Right, I think I have to go back through this way then. Oh, it's this way I want to go, isn't it? Very quickly before they dismount me. Oh, hold on, I haven't got my speedy aura on. Must always have the speedy aura on. I think the only reason I put devotion aura on is because I was getting my arse kicked so much last week when I was in this zone. M is just the classification. So according to their surface temperature, they're put in sort of brackets and they're given a letter. There is a very natty mnemonic for trying to remember them as well. This is the wrong place. Oh, backwards astronomer forget geocentricity, Kepler's motions. And then there's like reveal nature simplicity. But RNS is not really a thing. Oh, you favour mnemonics that like that. No, I prefer one that's related to the topic at hand. Right, I haven't done anything over there. There's so many quests. I don't know whether it's because this zone is more fleshed out than Bastion, or just because it is more chaotic, where you can sort of pick up these quests and then end up going on to other ones before you've really finished in an area. It seems more disjointed rather than moving you on from hub to hub, which I quite like. I like that aspect of it. There are some things in this zone. I like the general look. I would always like a gothic type look to a zone. I'm just not feeling the story for this zone at all. Okay. Let's see how well this works then. Does something, I guess. Where are you going? Come here. I've got a divine storm that's wearing out. Hi, Stormsend. Actually, I also wonder, because it took me a while to get new gear as well last week, if maybe there's been some tuning of mobs in these zones, or this particular zone. Zone playing better this week. No, it is better. As I was noting just a few minutes ago, there's a couple of strange things. So what I found really odd is the gear it started me off with, level 120, was lower than BOEs that I was picking up. You know, not quest rewards, just BOEs off the floor. But now, when I logged in today, those same BOEs were way lower item level. They were really blighting me, so when I've noticed, I've replaced them. So I think there was something funny going on, but also they don't seem to be kicking my head in as much as they did as well. So I think a few things have been tuned in here. Doesn't seem quite so bad. Still don't necessarily feel like taking on a load of stuff at once. Oops, should have done that one first. Do I need those for anything? Not especially. It's just to fill the bar thing, this, isn't it? And the other thing is, if I hadn't already mentioned it, is the issue that we were having increasingly last week. It was really bad last week, and I now know the reason, where the screen would just go blank and I'd have to open up the presentation again. That is not going to happen anymore, because that was that little issue was solved. Rather embarrassing, in fact. because there is a reason why it only ever seemed to happen when I was playing World of Warcraft, and it happened a lot last week. And it was effectively because, and I don't know why this has never been an issue. I've been using this for years. And basically, yeah, so it was keybinds and I've got a bad feeling about this. So the particular keybind that was doing it was F2. Now F2 is what I use for bubble. So on this character anyway, on other characters, you know, there's other things that it could be used for. And obviously last week I was using bubble quite a lot because I was getting into a lot of trouble. So that would explain why every bloody few minutes it was doing it. So basically what happened is I tried to find the issue online, couldn't find it. Got in contact via a web chat with someone from the company, from XSplit, and they said, that sounds bloody weird. Can I have a look? So I showed them a bit of the stream where it happened, and they went, yeah, and they sort of worked out what was happening. So that was pretty good. But I tell you what I cannot understand, unless, like, if it was a brand new piece of software, then you would just think, well, maybe, you would think maybe it's a hotkey doing it. But it wasn't. I have been using this thing for years and never ever had that issue. So I cannot for the life of me work that out. It can't surely be that the programmer only started having hotkeys recently with a recent version of it. So it was baffling. But it is now solved. It is all sorted now. Am I missing something over here? But there was no panic. It was not caused by panic. It was caused by the fact that it has the same hotkeys that I was using. Oh, it's down here. For certain things that you absolutely don't use in a panic, like bubble. Oh dear, what now? Any more changes to auras? Not that I've noticed, really. I think the only changes that I've seen logged have been to some damage values for consecration. maybe something else that I can't quite remember. That's why I was saying at the start I need to really I need to sit down really and note down the values on all the abilities so that I can keep an eye on any changes to them that happen. So that's when I use consecration on single target and there's nothing, when everything is off cooldown. But we will have to see how it works out in the end. I just worry that there's going to be a slightly, well, awkward series of priorities. Don't know why people have to like consecration. For Ret anyway, I can understand it for certain things. Right, have I got Crusade back up? Right, now, does she look like she's going to walk into my trap if I place it? Yes. Oops. Oh, what am I doing? God, that heart strike's a bit nasty. Very nasty, in fact. Have I done a read of the X-Pack features yet, or planned features? Some of them I have. Paying more attention to things that would directly affect the class at the moment. Right, we're going to have some food here, because... which worked extremely quickly. The thing at the moment, of course, that I'm most interested in, which is not possible to test just yet, is this Aura of the Seasons. Because that is going to be fairly key for Rets. Because this Retribution Aura, I mean, it really needs to go. But it's not really realistically what you're going to be using. I can't think. At least most of the time. Whoops, what am I doing? Oh. Did that do anything to them at all? I didn't realise I had a thing to weaken them. Silly Bonnie. Oh, can you dodge that heart strike? I think I can dodge that heart strike. Wasn't doing that on the last one. Or maybe not. Right, what's this? Tomb Burster. Alright, never mind. But yeah, as far as I can tell, the only change to Rets at all in this week is just a slight change to consecration, I think. Well, that's not much good. I've already got a hat. Why is it giving me another hat? That's rubbish. And now it's given me a choice of a crap weapon. Why would it give me a crap weapon? Placeholder seat. Oh, I like that. That's nice. Good stuff. Right, what am I supposed to do with this? What the hell is going on here? Oh no, I'm supposed to do this. Oh no. There we go. And for some reason I'm not using Crusade. Right, let's see if I can get out of here without training too much stuff. Oh, well, that's better at least. Boots, 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 boots. Right then. Should I maybe go and do those first?
I have many, many wares. Farewell, friend of the Grummels.
Are the quest icons better? I don't mind. I don't think they're better. They're different. I don't particularly think they're better or worse, I have to say. What I will be interested to know, and I can't really tell at the moment, this is more from the point of view, I suppose it applies just as much to a main, well no it doesn't, it applies more to alt. What I'd always want to know is, can you easily tell the difference between a main quest line for the zone storyline that you will be wanting to complete, you know, for things, Covenants in this case, but whatever it is for the expansion, and which ones are just side quests that you are just doing for interest or experience and that don't actually play a major part in the overall quest lines that they want you to do. Because that's always what's crucial. Like Star Wars The Old Republic and Elder Scrolls Online do that for you. They have different icons, so you can really tell them apart, which is not always the case. Sometimes with WoW they've had the slightly more orangey quest, haven't they? Quest symbol. More like a legendary one rather than purely gold. But it's not always clear a lot of the time. And I don't know whether it's going to be in Shadow. So that's what I would think. If they're reworking icons, that's what I would want to see. And maybe that's what it is. Maybe those newer icons are, these are important quests, do these, and other ones are, you can ignore these if you want. Why is the... Oh, got social distancing going on. I think they're a bit closer than 2 meters apart though. They're one, not so bad. Purveyor of arms. Oh, they don't seem to sell any arms. Alright then, never mind. Seems to be the difference with the quest mark. If the bolder one seems to be the main quest, I just wonder if you noticed between the two. Have they only got main quests at the present? There have been some side quests, but not enough for me to definitively say. Because sometimes, like when you pick up a quest, you don't always know it's a side quest as well. Some are obvious. But the thing is, sometimes it's not obvious. Sometimes I might pick up a quest that I don't realise is a side quest, for example. But if it is making it clear between them, then that's got to be a benefit. You know, as I say, really, especially for alts, because by the time you're leveling some alts a bit later on, apart from people that do it really early on, but I mean, ones who do it later on in the expansion, not only have you got heirloom gear, but you may find there's other aspects of the leveling that allow it to proceed a bit quicker as well. Certainly the case in BFA. Final Fantasy marks them differently. I mean, I suspect MMOs in general do these days, because I think WoW was probably the last one of the last MMOs to really cotton on to the notion that once your game is lots of expansions old, you need to think about the leveling experience. You can't just leave it as it is. Right. Okay, let's go and let's not leave too many quests behind. Let's go and have a little look over here. I mean, in Star Wars The Old Republic, your main quest lines are in purple, I think, and the other ones are in green. In Elder Scrolls Online, you have like a triangle thing for side quests, and it's more like a diamond for the main quest lines. Traitor confronted. Can't remember if Lord of the Rings Online has come up with anything. Is this where I'm supposed to be? They're talking. Am I supposed to just wait here? Oh, there's like a Mexican standoff here. What's going on? Right, I'm just going to stand here for a bit and just see if this is about what my quest is about. I'm surprised it took them this long to decide to change the starting level and experience. Well, so am I. I think they just ended up... Oh. I think they just ended up with so much to do with the current expansions they completely kept forgetting the other one. And obviously in WoD, it is WoD, isn't it? When they started the idea of, okay, you buy the expansion, you get a level boost, and that was probably their solution to it, but it's a crap solution. Because I don't think a level boost really helps a new player. Right, what have we got here? Back, that is an upgrade, that is not an upgrade, so we'll go with that. What just happened? Oh. For Lord of the Rings Online, the 64-bit, yeah. See, I haven't... The thing is, I'd really like to play it again. I made a complete mess of Lord of the Rings Online, because what I was... When I started playing it, and it wasn't right at the start, it was a couple of years old by then, and like Moria was out. And in fact, I started it towards the end of Moria, if truth be told, the Moria expansion thing. And... that wasn't working before. Right. How am I going to get there? Well, let's try and fly there first of all. And so what happened was, ultimately, then I used to play it a little bit. I'd like come to an expansion and play it for a bit, and then not play it for a bit, and all the rest of it. And then what happened is I just didn't play it for years and years. So it went through multiple things. And then I started playing it again when, was it Turbine, whatever, just got rid of it. And then the people who were working on developing it bought the IP, sort of, the rights to it, shall we say. And they did the Mordor expansion thing, and I started playing again then. But because I was so far behind, and they had brought in a level boost, and I used it, and that turned out to be a big mistake, massive mistake. I massively regret it, and now I sort of feel like I've cocked up that character because I did that. So I'd really like to just start it again from the beginning, remaking that same character, just go the way through. But and maybe they've improved the leveling experience, but certainly the last time I played it, and it was only a couple of years ago, they had not. It's really dreadful. And so here's the thing, because I know I'm not going to, I'd maybe play it now and then for a few months, and then I'd, stop playing it a while, not go off it, but stop playing it for a while for whatever other reason. I just sort of know that I'll never really get anywhere with it. Like in Star Wars The Old Republic, I've never actually got to level cap on anything, but in theory I could. In theory I could play that one long enough to do so. Oh Jesus, I better stop and stand my ground for a bit. But I really want to. Like, I keep thinking maybe this week I'll put it on again. But I'll be a fool to myself if I do. Daybreak games, that sounds familiar, yeah. But anyway, speaking of Lord of the Rings, have I read the kerfuffle from SJWs about orcs? No. I don't. Some have started complaining that orcs are a racial stereotype, but then had it explained to them, wrote Tolkien wrote them as a stereotype of certain lower class English people. Right, okay, yeah. Well, no, I mean, I'm unlikely to see things like that. I don't really have time to look at a lot of forums these days, and I'm certainly not gonna look at anything that's not directly related to my work now. Just don't have the time. Still taking a bit of a beating from what are supposed to be just normal quest mobs. It hasn't swapped me back that cracked sword again, has it? No, it hasn't. Tend to ignore everything they spew out on all the internet. Well, you ultimately... I mean, when I was younger, I used to get involved in all sorts of arguments and debates. I was not very good at just picking and choosing. Nowadays, I'm a bit more mellow as you get older. And sure, if there's things you don't really agree with and you don't want to engage, you just ignore them. It's the best way. Because you can spend your entire life arguing on the internet and achieve nothing. Oh, no. I thought that was another mob come to find me. It's almost like playing Classic again, this, where you spend so long killing a mob that a bloody patrol comes along and smacks you over the head. Oh. I'm only trying to turn a bloody quest in as well. Right, am I even going to get to go to the next level here? What is this? Where are they coming from? Is this part of the quest? Because they just raced along to clobber me. Oh, and another one, of course. What is this? Okay. Right, let's see if I can Hearthstone to somewhere useful. Oh, they tried to cancel the Netflix series. Alright, okay. Right. What time are we on? We've got 10 minutes. Right, we can just about get to whatever it is, level 59, which I think is the cap at the moment on the alpha anyway. So, where do we want to be? There. Although, it's a shame I had to use that Hearthstone then, because I'll just log out where I happen to be in 10 minutes, I think. Doesn't matter. If I am level 59, there'll be no experience to be gained anyway by resting. Oh, you're joking. Have I got Seraphim selected? I haven't been using it. Right, let's end this nonsense now. Where's my tomes? We'll have that. We'll have that. Let's be a little bit consistent. We'll have zeal. That's fine. That's fine. Okay. Hey up. All right. Well, that wasn't very pleasant. I'm supposed to find a calligraphy set on some bandits hiding in trees. What? Who designed some of these quests? Seriously. Oh, not liking this. Am I happy with the changes to Paladin? Overall, yes. It is an improvement. It's you know, there's still things I'm not that happy about. I'm not happy about this Retribution aura. It's not really an aura as I see it, and it's more importantly, it's going to have the same exact problems that just the Retribution passive does at the moment. But it's nice, yeah, Wake of Ashes, Hammer of Wrath, all that lot being baseline. There are some talents I would still sort of change on it to get some movement. I think movement options would be nice. More movement options, nice. And there are some talents you could just get rid of. I mean, the way I look at it, if you've got a talent that a serious Mythic Plus Dungeoneer wouldn't use and a serious Mythic Raider wouldn't use, then it's a bad talent. New Retribution only affects Paladins. No, only affects Paladins. It's based on anyone dying, but it only affects Paladins. Doesn't do anything for anyone else. And it's not really terribly useful, I would argue, for a Holy or a Protection Paladin. Like a Retribution Paladin, you know, there are certain times when, you know, it'd be more useful for it to happen. But as long as you're not Huh. Right, I'm assuming it doesn't make any bloody difference, this. But yeah, it's like a holy paladin. They're avenging right. If it could much more likely happen at a time when it's not really of any practical benefit to them. A prop paladin, all right, they could maybe do something extra with it. It's not as much as a ret. A ret, unless they're stuck out of combat for some reason, then you will be able to get some use out of it. But also just the fact that, you know, realistically, you're going to look at it, you're going to think, right, devotion aura, all right, prop paladin might take that if you've got one. If you haven't got one, they might, oh hello, they might want you to take that. Am I supposed to follow them? Come on back, Gollum. And then it'll be Aura of the Seasons, won't it? You'll end up taking. So you won't really end up taking it. But even if you could, I mean, an Aura is an opportunity to have a reason to take a ret, ultimately. And that is not a reason. And I'm not saying, obviously I'm not suggesting that if you're going to have a ret specific aura, that it should be one that you wouldn't want to do without, because then that's silly, because then you have to take a ret. And obviously with so many clash roll combinations now and only 20 in a raid, then you shouldn't do that. But at least have it be useful. Right. I'm not even going to read what he needs me to do because I'm not going to have time. I'm just going to stay here, I think. Only works if someone in your party dies, which you should never want to happen. Well, indeed, you should not want to happen. I mean, it is the classic case, isn't it? Obvious, you know, you look at. I'm not suggesting that people. Well, some people actually would do this. I'm sorry. If you've got some DPS horse, they'd absolutely do this. So you look at a situation, you think, oh, they're probably going to die. Lay on hands. Oh, hang on a minute. If they die, I get a damage boost. Yeah, not really going to do that. Do you know what I used to do? Storm Send. You say about that, oh, if you had a buyer that could die straight away. So in Legion, which was the only expansion I've played as a serious player, when we've had Retribution passive. So sometimes when we were doing like little casual runs or alt runs or something like that, so I would, or just sometimes when we had the spare capacity in like a heroic run, I would sometimes, because I have two accounts, take another character and stick them in the corner and just make them die straight away. And then I would get the Retribution passive at the start of the fight when you've got all the, you know, your buffs going and all the rest of it, Avenging Wrath and or Crusader rather it was at the time, and maybe heroism and stuff like that. So yeah, that was fun times. But generally speaking, yes, it's a bad thing when it triggers in any serious situation, whether it's a Mythic Plus dungeon or a Mythic raid. Could be pretty good if they made similar fights like Argus and Taurus, but then the problem is you have a situation where more people, you know, if it's a fight where you're likely to have people die at a regular basis, and then you have a different raid group where they don't, or they do it out of range of you or something like that. So it's unpredictable and therefore unfair. It's something you don't have any control over. But anyway, I need to sort of call an end to it there anyway. I'll be back on Tuesday with Elder Scrolls Online again, and or non-WoW game. Maybe I'll do Lord of the Rings, but I won't. I'll probably do Elder Scrolls Online. and then back again next Sunday with something, maybe even, unless they add something majorly new in, I might even just create a class to go into Torghast with, but we'll see near the time. But thanks very much. Have a good evening, everyone. Until next time, I'll see you later.